So let's talk about the time that Erin Pizzey ripped off a domestic violence charity in order to fund a hate group. In 2014, Erin Pizzey launched whiteribbon.org, a site supposedly dedicated to advocating for male victims of domestic violence. But what it actually was a self-promotion tool for Pizzey that was hosted by and rehashed misogynistic propaganda from A Voice for Men. A Voice for Men has been declared a certified hate group because its members regularly endorse the kind of violent rhetoric against women I can't even read out, as well as founder Paul Elam's abhorrent calls for excessive retaliatory violence against women. I'd say pause to read, but don't. There was also one other small problem with Pizzey's site. The White Ribbon Campaign was already the name of a widely recognized global movement of men and boys working to end violence against women and girls that had been running for over 20 years, starting as a result of the horrific Montreal massacre by a violent anti-feminist. This was nothing more than a cynical cash grab by Pizzey and Elam, designed to capitalize on the brand and marketing of a global charitable non-profit, to inject their own propaganda under the White Ribbon name, and then use the confusion to funnel funds to an anti-feminist hate group. Donations on whiteribbon.org went straight to A Voice for Men. But Brent, how can you know that? Well, because Elam told us that's exactly what they were doing, saying that they would be investing whatever resources it takes to make whiteribbon.org overshadow the existing charity. And one of the first articles on Pizzey's site when it launched warned readers to be cautious of other fake White Ribbon copycats who were trying to corrupt the message of the White Ribbon to insert dishonest and sexist messages into the movement. Like, you know, the charity of the same name that already existed for a decade before them. The absolute audacity. A Voice for Men's users were delighted by this subterfuge and used it as an excuse to, surprise surprise, endorse horrific acts of violence against women. And when a number of outlets reported on this blatantly dishonest scheme, such as Cosmopolitan, Salon, and Think Progress, Elam responded telling them all they could go to hell, and to send the lawyers, which of course the legitimate White Ribbon organization did, being absolutely horrified that their movement advocating against violence against women was being co-opted and corrupted by an organization whose members call for and endorse violence against women. A funding campaign was launched begging for donations for Pizzey's legal fund. It turns out that investing whatever it takes actually meant investing whatever it takes of other people's money. The legal challenge was portrayed as a familiar story. Angry feminists out to beat an old woman in a wheelchair into submission and silence her for advocating for men, rather than what it actually was. A completely unnecessary, obvious and predictable copyright infringement, needlessly wasting the almost $5,000 that had been donated. The World Intellectual Property Organization ruled against Erin Pizzey, concluding that she was clearly trying to infringe on White Ribbon's trademarks, and ordered her to hand over the domain. Pizzey renamed the site to Honest Ribbon, and despite Elam promising to invest whatever it takes, the site hasn't been updated in 2.5 years. It remains pretty much what it was when it launched, a self-promotion tool for Erin Pizzey's work, which consists mostly of her recounting the same 40-year-old stories, and a collection of anti-feminist propaganda. It's been almost a decade since the initiative was launched, and you still won't find any resources or support for male victims of domestic violence on the site. Nor does the site link out to any of the organizations across the UK or the US that do offer resources and support for male victims. And that should tell you everything you need to know about Erin Pizzey's support for male victims.